I'm going to make just a few points, and then I'm going to see if the mayor has any comments. And then once we hear from the mayor, I'm going to invite Dennis up, and Dennis is going to introduce some individuals, going to talk about some of the things that I know people are interested in, like debris removal, the status of power restoration, and for those who are either at the Trade Center or at the Civic Center, the status of CAT buses running. Dennis is going to give you an update on that. And then we also want to talk about food safety, and so we'll talk about all those things. But let me begin by thanking you for being here and helping us disseminate this information. And I want to say that the curfew is still in effect from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I want to just state why that curfew is in effect. We have many neighborhoods that's blocked, no power, and we don't want folk roaming around neighborhoods. But I want to make it clear, this curfew is not a ban on people going to and from work. We do understand that the port will start up in the morning. There are other industries are currently in the startup state, and we want to make sure that they understand their employees can in fact go to and from work. Now, in the event that you're stopped, you simply need to provide an ID, make it clear to law enforcement where you're going, and be on your merry way. But the purpose of this curfew, if you have no reason to be out after 10 p.m., I want to make it very, very clear, you're subject to be stopped. And if you're found in violation of this curfew, you could be fined up to $500 and 60 days in jail. This is necessary to keep vandalism, looting, and any kind of criminal activity to the bare minimum or eliminated completely. So I really want to make that very, very clear. We had an early announcement of a county commission meeting tomorrow at 9. It was moved from Friday until Tuesday, and we postponed that until further notice. And we'll meet when need be, and we'll give you adequate notice of the meeting. But until then, because of the support we have out here at the CEMA facility and everything else, we are kind of hesitant of putting an additional burden on county employees to cover both activities at the same time. The only other thing, County Manager Lee Smith mentioned yesterday that schools are closed until the 17th. And with that, Mr. Mayor, you have anything before we bring Dennis up? And let me also say that Dennis is going to come up and talk about some specifics and introduce those who are going to talk about even more specifics. And then I'm going to bring the county manager up to sort of wrap up what's going on in the county. And then we have Congressman Carter here, who's going to come up after the county manager and kind of give you an update of what's going on in the other counties. Okay? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Got 2 or 3 things to cover. First one is, as far as the city of Savannah is concerned, 311. Again, 311 will get you to the city for any special issues or items that you have. 311. Do not dial 911 unless it is a real emergency. Otherwise, stay with 311. You will get all your questions answered by a wonderful person on the end of the line. The other item is Verizon and Sprint have set up charging stations and so forth out there. Also, AT&T has moved one into the mall area, so that gives us Mall Boulevard. Okay, let me say Mall Boulevard. Make sure if you all have a need there, it's all free. Just take your time, go there and get charged up, because we're running, especially on the south side, there's a lot of power out there, so we need to see if we can help them out there. Other items are, the National Guard is pushing out and doing additional patrolling. They've done a great job for us, and I want to thank them for what they've done. And then also, as you come back into the city, please take your time when you're coming back into the city. There's a lot of things going on. Stop at the stop signs. They do mean stop. So take your time. Come back into the city. Work your way back in. We'll get the power on. We're going to talk about that shortly. Thank y'all. Have a great day.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the interests that you may have that we've been talking or preparing for over the past several days. One of those being the shelter situation that we have over at the Trade Center. We have started bringing back our residents who are sheltered up in Augusta, Richmond County. We thank Augusta, Richmond County for allowing us to send our residents up there out of harm's way. So we are now in the process of bringing our residents back. We are temporarily sheltering them over at the Trade Center. We are working them through the process, and if that center becomes at capacity, then we have other locations that we are coordinating so that we can make sure we can bring everybody home. As people are checking into the Trade Center, they are choosing to go back to their neighborhoods, which is totally acceptable. It's totally fine. We encourage them to do that. So we don't want to keep them in a shelter as long as they don't want to be there. We want to make sure that they can get home whenever they want to. So again, we do have the plan in place. It is working as it is designed to work. All of our residents should be back in Chatham County by the end of the day. There may be a few residents that may have to stay back behind, but we are trying our best to make sure that we get them no later than tomorrow morning. But hopefully the majority of all the citizens will be here by close of business today. As a reminder, the schools are closed all week. The Board of Education is also assisting us with some shelter locations, so we appreciate their support in that capacity. As a reminder, the courthouse is also closed tomorrow, and they are making daily decisions as to when they will reestablish court operations. There is a countywide burn ban, and if you are interested in seeking a burn permit, you have to go through the Georgia Forestry for that. Right now, they are not issuing any burn permits whatsoever. So the countywide is under a burn ban. There was a rumor floating around about re-entry back into Yamacraw and Fred Wessel's neighborhoods, that it was flooded out. That is not the case. Yamacraw and Fred Wessel's is open for return. We do have several hazards that are in our waterways. There is debris that's located just underneath the water line. Our Marine Patrol, our Marine Rescue Squadrons, and also the Coast Guard have been traveling through our waterways and trying to alert boaters and also identify where those hazards are. But there's a lot of debris just underneath the water line. We encourage you to use extreme caution, slow down your speed, and make sure you know where some of those hazards are. If you do see something that hasn't been identified already, make sure you pass that on to a boating official. We also issued a press statement a little bit ago about the water, and there's a boil notice in effect for the water. I want to caution you that this does not mean that it's for City of Savannah water systems, okay? This is not City of Savannah water systems. Their water systems are fine. The system that has the boil notice attached to it is the former county water system, and the owner of that system is conducting robocalls to those people that he serviced to make sure that they know that boil water advisory is attached to those particular clients. So again, let me reiterate, the boil water notice is not for the City of Savannah water system. The City of Savannah supports most of the water systems throughout this county, and this particular boil notice is for the former county water system. And if you are a customer of that water system, you should be getting a phone call from the owner of that system to let you know that you need to boil your water. The company is Water Utility Management. Water Utility Management. All right. We still have quite a bit of debris throughout the community. We've been talking about that at every press conference. We do have debris management teams that are coming in. Each jurisdiction is working individually on managing their debris, and we're collecting damage assessment from all the municipalities back into the Emergency Operations Center, so we have full situational awareness of the issues throughout the community. Obviously, as you get closer to the coast, the debris gets worse than it is on the west side. So again, We are managing that from a higher level, working with each of the municipalities to make sure that they have all the resources that they need. FEMA did arrive today. They came in right before 1 o'clock. They were out in the community evaluating the areas so that we can qualify for an individual assistance declaration. Have not got word back on that. I'll get a brief from them shortly, probably around 6 o'clock as they finish up their field operations. And we'll get some information from them. But they do intend to be in the area for the rest of the week conducting the IA or the individual assistance assessments.
Do you know what neighborhoods they went to, FEMA?
They started out at Tybee and they're working their way back west.
And how many folks from FEMA were there?
There were 7 folks from FEMA. We also had somebody from the Small Business Association, Small Business Administration, SBA. They were also here to evaluate individual assistance claims as well. Okay? All right, next we're going to bring up Mr. Gregory Anderson. We talked earlier about building safety and also construction permitting and business licensing and also price gouging. It's very important that you make sure that you have a qualified contractor. Mr. Anderson's going to talk about what a qualified contractor should have with them.
Good afternoon. As indicated yesterday, Chatham County has established a satellite business license office located at the Public Works Meeting Room, which went into effect this morning at 9 o'clock. We will continue that effort tomorrow between 9 and 4 o'clock. That is at 7226 Varnado Drive. And we encourage everyone who's dealing with a contractor to make sure, especially in the unincorporated area, that the contractor has a valid county license. If there's any questions about that, ask that contractor to produce the license. Ask them to show it. They're required to carry it with them. If there's any questions, we've set up a kind of a hotline, and you can take this number down. If there's any questions, you can call our staff between the hours of 9 and 4. If there's any questions about any specific contractor or any questions about business licensing, you can reach them at 657-0554. That's 912-657-0554. Thank you. Repeat that number. 912-657-0554. Between the hours of 9 and 4. Thank you.
As you all know, debris is a big issue, and we've got our Director of Public Works, Mr. Robert Drury, going to talk about debris operations in the unincorporated county.
Thank you, Dennis. I do want to reiterate, this is in reference to the unincorporated county only. We continue to clear roadways so residents can have access to their homes. Public Works crews, along with crews from the Guard, are moving their way through the unincorporated county. Debris removal has not yet begun and will not begin until we finish the roadway clearing operations and when we prepare these sites to receive the debris. There is guidance that's been published on CEMA's website on how residents should sort and prepare their debris for pickup when removal operations begin. Thank you.
Also, power is a big issue. Everyone is concerned about when's power going to be restored, what's been done to mitigate the power issues throughout the community. We have with us Ms. SWANN. She's going to talk about Georgia Power's efforts.
Good afternoon. We want to say how much we appreciate the cooperation and patience of everyone here. We have for you this afternoon some numbers for your review, and we want to give you a brief status report. As of Saturday midday, just after the storm, we recorded 141,000 customers out in Savannah and Chatham County. Our latest numbers as of an hour ago were reduced to 74,000. The coastal region of Georgia Power, which for your information is everything from Swainsboro to St. Mary's, recorded that same day, midday Saturday, 275,000 customers out, and now that's down to 114,000 customers. Our assessments so far have revealed over 500 broken or damaged poles, 1,000 spans of wire, which is about 38 miles. And I asked our tree guy today, how many trees? And he said thousands and thousands and thousands. So I can't give you a more complete tree count. We have approximately 5,000 personnel dedicated to this restoration, including Georgia Power, Gulf Power, Alabama Power, and Mississippi Power. In addition, we have contractors and other resources from Texas, Tennessee, and Florida, to name only a few states. Now, these include linemen, engineers, tree crews, support personnel, logistical people, distribution, and transmission employees. At this time, based on our assessments and repair predictions, we hope that we will have 90% of all customers affected by Hurricane Matthew restored by midnight Wednesday. Now, our teams are in full restoration mode, and we have substations assigned to a team. They will be augmented now, this 5,000, by an additional 500 employees who are coming in today. Some are coming as far away as Pennsylvania. Some have just completed work in Florida, and they're coming up. We also have our own crews who are completing works in other counties, and they will be directed here and joining the efforts. We have staging and equipment strategically placed throughout the county. And again, the safety of our employees and our customers remains our #1 priority. We urge citizens to carefully navigate roads and intersections where our crews might be working. At home, we ask that you inspect your property carefully, watch for hidden hazards, especially the down power lines. Public safety does remain a concern. The return of citizens and increased traffic does impact our ability to navigate the streets and work. Outage reports can still be made by dialing 1-888-891-0938, and I'll repeat that for you. 1-888-891-0938. And just so you know, that line will be answered 24 hours a day, and you can talk to a live person. Don't forget about our outage map, which is updated several times a day. Thank you.
Ms. Seiler, do you expect as people are coming back that you'll get more notices of problems as people return to their homes and find out lines are down?
And that is why I emphasize calling that number. Yes, people are returning already. They're just getting to their houses. They're beginning to see. And even though we have a smart grid system and smart meters that tell us a great deal, we need to hear from that customer. So if they have not reported the outage, don't assume your neighbor has. We still want to hear from you.
Do you know if you know what areas have been restored, like, you know, Wilmington Island?
It would be easier for me to tell you the areas where we're having the most problems, if I can.
Sure.
We are trying, even though this storm really brought devastation of our system throughout the Savannah, CHATHAM area, we know that it was especially hard hit where you would think, where are the trees? On the islands area. So we're talking about Wilmington Island, we're talking about Isle of Hope, Ferguson Avenue, Whitmarsh, and White Bluff Road. Those are the ones that we seem to see really some time-consuming work will need to be done.
And even with that, you think you might have a lot of it restored by
Well,
Thursday evening?
I said 90%, that leaves 10%, so let's talk about the 10%. The 10% are going to be those customers who either are on a system or a circuit that's going to take us a very long time to rebuild and complete, longer than that time I just gave you, or some of those homeowners are going to have extensive repairs done to their homes before they can take electricity. And that happens with any storm, but not to this degree. So let me assure you that Georgia Power is committed to get the lights on. That's what we're in business to do. And we're all behind this effort 100%.
Thank you, Swan. Okay, next, you're probably interested as to how we're moving the people that we have sheltered, how we're moving them back into the county and also throughout the county. In addition to the Board of Education allowing us to use their transportation assets, we got Chatham Area Transit here to talk about what their efforts are going to be regarding moving our evacuees. Mr. Curtis?
Good afternoon. Chatham Area Transit will begin limited service this evening to transport citizens from the Trade Center to near their homes as best as we can. CAT is happy to be able to resume limited service at 5:30 p.m. today until 10 p.m. The City of Savannah and Chatham County have worked all day to clear our routes as best as they can do. Be advised that there are several routes that are have deviations and some areas that are impassable, but we will do the best we can to get people to near their homes. Tomorrow we will begin limited service in the morning, and we will expand our routes as the streets become available. Thank you.
Any questions on that? Thank you, Chris.
All right, we also mentioned this morning that we would provide you information on food safety. We have Ms. Jackie Ogden from UGA to talk about that.
Thank you, Dennis. University of Georgia Extension Service here in Chatham County wants to remind citizens that as you return home, if you have lost power for at least 4 hours or more, it's very probable that your food does need to be thrown out. We recommend that it be removed. At the same time, if you have food in your freezer, a good way to detect if it is still usable is if there's still ice crystals on those food items, then they possibly can be saved. However, we have a motto that we say, when in doubt, throw it out. More importantly, we do not want people to get sick after you've gone through this ordeal. The most important thing to remember is that there's so many things that you don't know maybe what to keep, what not to keep. So to make it easier, we have pulled all of our resources together on one link. So if you will go to www.fcs.uga.edu/extension/storm-damage-homes. Long site. To make it easier, visit CEMA's website, and if you'll go to CEMA, you will find all the research information from our food safety specialists. More importantly, most citizens are going to probably have found that with the severity of this storm, that they do not know how long their power was out. So for that reason, if it is warm to the touch, we would recommend that you discard it. Also, in the future, if you have gone through this ordeal and want to know more about food safety, I recommend you to contact the local county extension office at 652-7981. We have food safety education programs and classes for neighborhoods and community organizations, and so you'll be prepared next time the storm should come our way. Thank you, Dennis.
Now we have the county manager to come up and just sort of, I know he's got some notices and he wants to do a wrap-up. Mr. Lee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning we talked about, and we have not reiterated that if you're returning home, we got a lot of people, you look at 16, a lot of people coming home. We want to let folks know on the damage itself, obviously FEMA's here. But that assessment's got to be completed. We'll look at individual assistance. That's going to take days or a week or so. But in the meantime, you need to contact your insurance provider. Some people think FEMA's going to come in and fix my home. Don't assume anything. Call your insurance provider now. Do an assessment. You may want to take some photographs, video, whatever you can. Some are doing that and allowing you to download roof damage, water damage. At least it gets their adjusters kind of ahead of things. So make sure you do that. And now with these smartphones, it's real easy to do. Most, I think, from Allstate, State Farm, a lot of them are allowing you to do that. SEMA is still on 24 hours. We've got a lot of folks. I do want to thank city employees, county employees, fire departments, volunteers. It has been unbelievable, the number of volunteers that have come forth, but all of the folks, and we want to reassure everyone, if you call and you get a busy, call back. We've got a lot of call takers. We've done between 3,000 and 5,000 incident calls just in the past couple of days. That's a lot. But people are calling in. Keep calling in. We need to know if you're in doubt. It's kind of like with the food. In doubt, throw it out. If you're in doubt, call. Because we need to know some things. We may not know that you have damage. We've had where trees are down and we didn't know there was a home there. Because there's so much damage, we don't see it behind the trees. We need to know that because we're still looking to see if we have injuries or fatalities. We don't know. So please let us know and please call in. The commissioners meeting that was scheduled to move to tomorrow has been postponed, and we'll give you notices on that. until it may be, until further notice. As far as courts, still out tomorrow, and Judge Cart will make a decision about that tomorrow, as well as Recorder's Court.
Jurors do need to call in.
Yeah, you can start calling in on the jurors line. They gave you notice when you got your jurors notice. Please call that, because that is still active, to find out when you should report. They're updating that regularly. So for county employees, county offices are closed tomorrow, and right now we're hoping to reopen Wednesday, but the chairman and myself are reassessing that on a daily basis based on, I will tell you, we got a lot of county employees that are have new jobs. If you look in our EOC, there are folks who are doing jobs they've never done before, but I want to thank them. I have seen remarkable partnership with the city of Savannah, Chatham County, all the municipalities. We've got folks, Red Cross, folks I've never met before, so we've got a new family, and everybody's working together. And when you sleep in the same room and snore together and eat together, you find out a lot about each other, and we've done that this week, so that's going to continue. So we can tell you who snores after the thing's over. But anyway, we've had to smile and keep each other up because we're tired. But nobody behind us. I know they are, but they just said, "Turn your head, Mr. Smith." You know, so anyway, we appreciate it, and Mr. Chairman.
I also want to make it clear that the Red Cross is managing our center over at Hutchinson Island. It's not being managed by the county. I also want to thank the National Guard, Savannah, Chatham Metro, because I know many of their officers are working overtime, off days, etc. We want to thank them. Jim Butterworth, who is head of GEMA, the Georgia Emergency Management Agency, and Homeland Security. He was down today touring, and I want to thank him for being here and all the resources that he's brought to bear, because the National Guard reports up through him, and he's made certain that they're here following the order from the governor. And we want to just make certain that we thank our state partners, all of our local partners, school board, the sheriff's office. In fact, the folk who are here from the Red Cross are actually being housed at the county jail and being fed at the county jail. So we appreciate Sheriff Welcher for opening a portion of the jail that's not currently occupied by inmates, so the Red Cross could have some place to shelter and also provide meals for them. And before we open it up for question, Congressman Carter's here, and I know that he's been down to St. Mary's and working his way back, and we wanted to give him an opportunity to give us an update. Congressman?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you. As you know, the 1st Congressional District of Georgia includes the entire coast of Georgia. We've got 6 coastal counties. My staff and I have been up and down the coast the last few days. I want to report to you that things are good in Camden County. I think they're recovering well. We still have some concerns in Glenn County. St. Simon's, Glenn County officials are going to be meeting in just a few minutes at 5 o'clock to decide what they're going to do. They have not allowed residents back on the island yet. We had the opportunity, staff and I, to tour that island yesterday. I can tell you there's a lot of trees down, a lot of damage there. Very much like Savannah, St. Simon's has a heavy canopy of trees, and as you can imagine, it's a mess down there right now. They also have concerns about the water and sewer service down there. So hopefully we'll be able to get the residents back on St. Simon's. We also came through McIntosh and Liberty counties yesterday. We just got back from Bryan County a little while ago. All of those counties seem to be faring well. Dennis mentioned that FEMA officials are here now in Chatham County. I have to say that I've been very pleased with the response and the attentiveness of FEMA, and I hope that will continue, and I trust that it will. Folks, this has been tough, and I want to thank everyone who's been involved in it, and particularly these people behind me, and particularly the media, as well as the citizens. I still think that we did well with the citizens. How many evacuated? Having a 75% rate was good. We need to do better next time, but people had heeded the advice of the experts, and I think that really saved a lot of injuries and saved a lot of problems for us here. One other thing I want to mention, obviously, appropriately, we are concentrating on getting the citizens back in their homes, but I also had the opportunity this morning to speak to the port commander of Brunswick and Savannah, and we are working to get those harbors back open. There is a process that they have to follow. They have to do an assessment. They've done that 24-hour assessment. Now we have to have the Corps of Engineers in to see if there's been any movement of the silt, of the sand, to make sure that the waterways are still navigable. As soon as we can get that done and determine that we're okay there, then hopefully we can get the harbors open again. There are some navigational aids, particularly in the Savannah Harbor, that have got to be replaced and situated again. Hopefully that will not take long. We are sure that if everything goes as planned, that the harbors will be open again very soon, so that'll be important as well. Again, I want to thank everyone who has been involved in this process, and folks, please be careful. Oftentimes after a storm like this, there are more injuries after the fact than there are during the fact. And we want you to be careful out there and make sure you just be smart and don't do anything that may endanger you or any of your family members. So again, kudos to everyone who's been involved, and thank all of you.
Congressman, is there a target date on the Brunswick Harbor?
The Brunswick Harbor did not sustain as much damage to the navigational aids as the Savannah Harbor did. When we had our conference call this morning, we were told that hopefully the Brunswick Harbor, best case scenario, it may be 72 hours. That's the best case scenario.
72 more from now?
From this morning. For Brunswick, if they don't find anything wrong. So again, they've got to make sure there hasn't been any movement in the silt and in the sand throughout the harbor.
Brunswick is 72 from now with very little damage to navigational.
Right.
What do we?
Well, the same thing.
On the city? On Savannah.
Again, the Corps' got to get in. They've got to do their job of looking and making sure and doing their determination of whether any of the sand or any of the silt has moved significantly. The good news with that is that we had the dredging equipment here already. So if that is a problem, then hopefully the dredging equipment can get to it pretty quickly. So we're hoping to have the ports open again soon.
Can you clarify, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, is the local Georgia Ports Authority, are they opening tomorrow, is that right?
I do not know the answer to that.
They did contact us this afternoon, so we could make sure during the curfew that they could employ. So in the morning, they said between 5 and 7 a.m. in the morning, they have asked that they report to work. So they will have make sure the TWIC cards, and as long as they have that in their federal ID, they'll be getting in. But they are looking to open in the morning at 6 or 7 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you.
And one of the things with the port, you got to keep in mind out at the shipping channel where the Savannah River meets the Atlantic out there were buoys that was knocked over. And so those buoys have to be put back in place, and that's, too, is a part of the delay. And one of the things I want to say, because I don't know if we've given them enough credit, but I want to just really thank the Savannah Chatham Public School security, Terry Enoch, and the entire patrol, because they actually escorted those buses to Augusta and provided police services and escorts. And we want to thank them. And Curtis, Kat's been over here the entire time. And to your drivers who are participating in this process, please give them our regards. With that, I want to mention that we're going to reduce the press conferences tomorrow from 2 to 1. And the press conference will be at noon here. We've been having one at 10 in the morning and one at 4:30. And we're going to get down to one press conference tomorrow, and that will be at noon at this location. Okay? And at this.
We'll just see you twice a day.
Yeah. Well, I usually try not to make two of them in one day. But
The structure has been great. It's been great to have this structure.
Thank you.
Can you just clarify real quickly, I got a couple of questions on Facebook for late joiners, whether the curfew remains in effect?
the curfew is in effect today. It's in effect from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. And as stated, we still have a lot of areas without power. The neighborhoods are dark. And we want our law enforcement officers to have the authority to know that they can enforce that curfew, stop at will, and you will have to justify your being in neighborhoods.
How long will that last?
We're calling it by the day. As Georgia Power gets more power on, we will consider reducing it. Okay? And with that, we've got a lot of folk here who can answer any questions that you have. So at this time, if you have any questions, please feel free.
For the Public Works, just compared to her meeting, we know how long that cleanup took. Does this even compare? Way worse?
Well, Tropical Storm Hermine was a bit different. We were doing that with our own forces, and that was limited. So it's difficult to compare because we've got more forces. As I mentioned, we've got crews from the Guard out there assisting us just for even clearing roadways. The volume is probably, well, I'm not even going to put a number on it, significantly different. So it's very difficult to compare the two of them.
And the other big difference, don't expect normal curbside pickup for debris for at least a month. And I say that not because what's going to happen with the county crew, with the Guard assistance and everybody else we can get to assist, and the city is doing the very same thing in their neighborhoods. We are first working on streets and trying to clear streets. And so when you clear your debris from your yard, you just simply need to pile it neatly, and we will get to it. It just will not be immediately until we get the street clear. It may be a week, it may be 2 weeks, but at least that. The other thing is that we do have a declaration from FEMA that will support us in cleanup, but we don't have one to support homeowners and businesses, and that's why FEMA is out now doing an assessment to see if we qualify for that level of support. Anything else? Thank you so much.